Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. Drones slammed into a high-rise apartment block, igniting fires and injuring 46 people, according to local officials. Mayor Ihor Terekov reported on Telegram that drones hit 12 locations across 4 central districts. Meanwhile, US officials have finalized new economic sanctions against Russia, targeting major banking and energy sectors to increase pressure on Moscow to end its war in Ukraine. The sanctions include state-owned energy giant Gazprom, a key entities in the natural resources and banking sectors. These measures will be implemented if approved by President Donald Trump, who has expressed frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin's rejection of peace talks and a ceasefire. The National Security Council is coordinating these actions, but Trump's final approval is necessary. If approved, these sanctions could mark a sharper turn in Trump's approach to Russia. Former US envoy Kurt Volker has said that Putin has been escalating the conflict, while Trump pushes for alignment with Ukraine to demand a full ceasefire. In a recent statement, Trump said he is strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire is achieved. The US could also enforce secondary sanctions on countries like China and India, which continue to trade with Russia and help fund the war. We are now joined by Jim Rice, Professor of International Law, located in Vigan, the Philippines, to discuss this in more detail. Jim, thank you very much for joining us on the program. I want to talk about Russia's continued strategy of striking civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. We've obviously seen this latest drone attack on Kharkiv, which has injured 46 people. What does this pattern of attacks that Russia is striking on Ukraine say about the current state of Russia's military tactics?
Well, this seems entirely consistent with what Putin has been doing all along. As you know, Putin has declared a unilateral ceasefire to coincide with their so-called Victory Day celebrations on May 9th. And I think in this case, this is really designed to provide cover for Putin's big military parade past the Kremlin on the 9th of May. As to your point, as to your question, Russia has consistently attacked civilian targets. That's what they're doing. They're trying to wear down the will of the Ukrainian people. That will fail. What he has done more successfully on the diplomatic front is to align American foreign policy more with Putin's interest than with Ukraine, and to force Ukraine into a false peace agreement.
Yes, and Jim, looking in from the outside, it seems that since Pope Francis's funeral, where we saw those visuals of Zelensky and Trump meeting, Trump has been vocal against Vladimir Putin's movements in regards to peace negotiations. What are your current views on how the US president sees Vladimir Putin and Russia, as it seems to be ever changing in his opinion on the Russian leader?
You're absolutely right. Trump's opinion seems to be changing according to the last person that he spoke with. So, as to your point, he spoke for about 15 minutes at Pope Francis's funeral in the Vatican. That seemed to change his mind with a tweet, which he posted suggesting that Putin may be tapping him along, as he put it. However, the problem is that, a day or two later, Trump will be talking to somebody else, such as J.D. Vance or Pete Hegseth or who knows who, and his opinion will change. As to the sanctions that he has mentioned, I'm skeptical. I'll believe them when I see them in action.
Yes, Jim, and those sanctions is what I wanted to talk about. How effective would more sanctions be on Russia if Trump were to impose them? The mention of tariffs have also floated around. Do you think we will be able to see more sanctions placed on Russia by the United States if this peace deal doesn't gain any more traction?
Okay, great questions there. As for the tariffs, that's a non-starter. There's virtually no trade between the United States and Russia. As for additional tariffs and secondary tariffs, I think that they might have effect, depending upon whether the countries affected will comply. But my argument has been, and I've published an article to this effect, is that the European nations should seize the approximately $300 billion in frozen assets and apply them to the reconstruction of Ukraine.
Yes, and Jim, finally, Putin has so far rejected Trump's push for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, even with Ukrainian alignment on that issue. If diplomatic overtures keep failing, what is the long-term end game, do you see? Do you see a frozen conflict, a negotiated settlement, or an open-ended war of attrition?
Well, it seems to be a war of attrition right now. So if the peace talks just completely break down, it would seem to be that. However, the problem will be two things: whether the United States will continue to provide weapons and war material that are necessary for the Ukrainians to keep fighting, and perhaps even more importantly, whether the United States will continue to provide crucial intelligence, including signals intelligence and satellite photographs, which are absolutely necessary for the Ukrainians to keep fighting this war.
Jim Rice, thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure having your insight.